There are 5 React Native styles hidden in plain sight that most developers never use. And if you're using AI to build your application, your AI is definitely missing them too. So knowing about them will instantly level up your UI, your code quality, and you'll get more polished results without installing any third-party library. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Beto. I've spent years building mobile applications at Walmart, then at Expo as a developer success engineer, and now I run Code with Beto full-time, where I help developers master mobile development in the AI era. If you want tips like this every week, check out our newsletter and don't forget to join our Discord community. Links in the description. This is gonna be a quick one, so make sure to stick till the end. I have a surprise for you. Let's dive in. I know, if you come from the web, linear gradient, it's been available for ages. You lucky bastard. But previously in React Native, you had to install a third-party library like Expo Linear Gradient or React Native Linear Gradient. But thank God, now it's available under the experimental background image style property. And you can use it like you would use it on the web with CSS. Just pass the string with the linear gradient that you want to use. And one thing that really annoys me is that agents always miss this property and they try to install extra libraries. So you can actually just do it like this, super easy. But this API, it's actually pretty powerful because, it's completely compatible with web. I actually took this example from the Mozilla website documentation. So you can do pretty crazy things like starting from red, 20% of the space, but you can always tweak this, let's say 30 or 3%. And now you can see we get the fade. Then you can define the next color, like orange from 20% to 40%, but you can also change this to be maybe 30 like this. And now you get this fade effect. But if you define exactly where you want the color to end, so we want red to be 20%, and then from 20 to 40, we want orange. Then yellow from 40 to 60, green from 60 to 80, and you get the point. Very versatile, very complete, and it works on Android. Here's on Android, it looks the exact same way. Filter landed in React Native 76, along with the new architecture. This is the syntax, you just pass the filter, and then you can pass the string like blur. You can also do crazy things like invert, change the brightness and opacity for the views. And here I have an example. Now, the only thing about filter is that it's actually pretty limited on iOS, which is funny. iOS always gets the latest and greatest, but actually filter only supports brightness and opacity on iOS, and the rest like saturate, invert, blur, it's only available on Android. So with Android, we can use anything that we want, like filter blur with 8 pixels. This is how it looks. We can invert and get these amazing effects. You can see the original on the left and then with brightness on the right. So pretty cool, especially the blur effect, but you would need to have, an extra library for iOS. That's the annoying part, but I think blur should land on iOS soon. Next one, box shadow. This one, guys, it's pretty annoying when you are generating code with AI and it's using the old syntax. So if you've been using React Native for a while, you know that we have the shadow color, shadow offset, all these properties that at the end of the day, it's pretty hard to code and remember all these properties, and they also look different on iOS and Android because you have to pass shadow elevation, I think, for Android, which is pretty weird. And what's annoying is that AI agents use this all the time. So let's pull out ChatGPT quick here, and I'm gonna ask it, let's say how to add a shadow in a view in React Native. If this gives me the old syntax, I'm going to explode. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. You can just simply say box shadow and pass the string. Here I'm actually iterating over these shadows. This is how it looks. The cool thing about this is that it looks seamless on both platforms. Here we have it on Android, effortless, right? Just one line, amazing. And you can even do multi-layer shadows like this one right here. If you want to learn more about some of these properties, you can just go to the MDN documentation. Everything that you find here, it will also work on React Native. And real quick, by the way, if you want to stay on top of everything that is happening on React and React Native, which is a lot, it's actually pretty overwhelming. Everything is changing every week, new features are dropping. And to keep up to date, I actually use This Week in React. It's a newsletter that I recommend you to check out. Everyone is using it to stay up to date with the news on React and React Native. And shout out to Sebastian because sometimes he includes links to my videos. So definitely highly recommend it in case you want to stay on top of everything. Link is in the description. Make sure to check it out. Again, this has been available for the web for years. It's basically space between items. I know it's crazy. I get excited for these basic integrations, but not too long ago, you actually had to handle spacing manually. So when you had multiple items, you would end up adding like a margin right or margin left or adding bottom, and it was pretty awkward. Now you can fix everything just with adding a single property gap. For example, 0 here. React Native also supports row gap and column gap. So for example, let's change this to be 0. And you can see it here at the bottom. In case you want different spacing, like 12 here. And then the column, it's 28, but let's remove it. Now they are together. And yeah, you can play around with these values. And of course, this works on Android as well. And finally, mixed blend mode. I bet you didn't know about this one, but you can actually use it on React Native as well to apply effects like this. So for example, here I have an image. You can see that I'm using a bunch of effects here like multiply, screen, overlay, darken, and I'm also passing a color, orange, to the overlay. You can maybe change this to be red, for example. So the property is called mixed blend mode. And as you can see, we have a bunch of them. So for example, color burn, let's hit save. And now this is going to apply it to everything. But I have here an array of the blend modes that we're using, so we can just pass it directly here and see the difference. Again, if you want to learn more, you can reference to the MDN documentation. And here we have a better explanation, by the way, how an element's content should blend with the content of the element's parent and the element's background. Here we can see the difference, and we can try this like difference, right? Let's check this out here. That's the difference. And it also has to do, of course, with the background color that we are applying here. So in this case, red. But if I remove it, nothing is going to happen, right? Because we don't have anything to blend. But we can change this to be orange, and you can create really crazy effects here, like white. If you made it till the end, congratulations, you just won an agent skill that will prevent your agent from making these mistakes, and always use these React Native styles. It's available in my blog. I'm gonna leave the link in the description, but if you come here and scroll all the way down, you'll find it. Just copy this, give it to your agent, and it will never make the same mistake. For more React Native pro tips, check out this video. I'll see you there.